a village. There were three brothers who were the subject of ridicule from everyone for their simplicity and naivety. While everyone else in the village was prospering, these three brothers, Aslam, Akram, and Sajid, remained the same. The three poor brothers lived in a village where the people were very clever and shrewd. They used these brothers to do their work and then mocked their simplicity. Aslam, Akram, and Sajid's father had passed away, and they lived with their very old and sick mother, whom they cared for diligently. Being poor, the three brothers worked for the village landlord, who owned a vast amount of land and was the wealthiest man in the village. The brothers were very hard-working, but the landlord was greedy and deceitful. He never paid them their full wages and often sent them home with only half the pay after a full day's work. Yet, the three brothers were content with this arrangement. Although they were old enough to marry, they remained bachelors, still serving their elderly mother. Their house was always messy since there was no woman to clean or cook. The brothers made their own food and served their mother, yet their clothes remained dirty as no woman was there to take care of their household. The villagers despised them and never invited them to weddings or gatherings. One day, while the three brothers were working in the fields, they witnessed the landlord cruelly beating an old man. The old man was crying and begging for mercy, but the landlord showed no compassion. The brothers couldn't bear to see the scene and asked the landlord why he was doing this. The landlord snapped at them, telling them to mind their own business and go back to work. Although upset, the brothers continued their work silently, thinking about the old man, wondering if he would survive the beating. That night, as they were about to sleep, a mysterious and eerie silence filled the air. At around 11 p.m., there was a loud knock at their door. Surprised, Aslam opened the door and found a beautiful woman in a veil standing before him. She looked anxious and kept glancing around. She begged to be let in. Once inside, the woman, who introduced herself as Samira, explained that she was being pursued by dangerous people who wanted to kill her. She asked them to hide her, promising to leave quietly after a few days. Without hesitation, the brothers agreed to help her, unaware of who she really was or why she had come to them in such distress. Samira helped the brothers by cleaning, cooking, and taking care of their elderly mother. She lived quietly with them, and no one in the village knew about her. Then one night, as Aslam got up to drink water, he heard someone crying. He found Samira sitting on the stairs, her long hair spread around her, crying into her hands. When he asked her why she was crying, Samira revealed that she missed her family and didn't know if she would ever see them again. Aslam, moved by her tears, realized he had fallen in love with her. Over time, their bond deepened, and Aslam became more protective of her. One day, while returning from the fields, Aslam bought a pair of red bangles for Samira, wanting to give her a gift. However, when he tried to buy them, the shopkeeper gave him a strange look and asked, "Who are you buying these for? Your elderly mother cannot wear them, so who are they for?" Flustered, Aslam didn't buy the bangles and returned home empty-handed. Days passed, and Aslam's love for Samira grew. However, Akram and Sajid remained unaware of his feelings. They were simply grateful to Samira for taking care of their house and mother. Then one day, when the brothers returned home, they found their mother upset. She told them that some people had come and taken Samira away. The brothers were horrified and immediately set out to find her. They couldn't ask anyone in the village because no one knew she had been living with them. 2 days later, a wedding was announced in the village and the landlord was marrying again. Samira was the bride, but no one knew why she had agreed to marry him. Aslam, Akram, and Sajid attended the wedding, hoping to find Samira. At the wedding, Aslam heard a woman crying from an upper room in the landlord's mansion. When he opened the door, he was shocked to see that the bride was none other than Samira. She was crying, and when she saw Aslam, she begged him to save her, revealing that the landlord had forced her into the marriage. Aslam, heartbroken, swore to save her. With his brother's help, they came up with a plan to rescue Samira. They sneaked into the mansion, disguised Samira, and successfully got her out. Aslam, now determined, confessed his love to Samira and declared he would marry her. The brothers went to a mosque in another village, where they got married. The villagers who once mocked these simple brothers would never look down on them again. However, the landlord was furious, and the brothers knew they had to keep Samira safe. They left for their home, where they could finally live in peace, knowing they had saved Samira from the cruel landlord. I was completely safe, but I didn't know that the village landlord would find her. Even today, she has hidden in your house. Then Samira told him that she had married Islam and was now Islam's wife. Hearing this, the old man was shocked. He then said, "You both must leave this village, otherwise, the landlord will kill you." Upon hearing this, Islam and Samira were troubled, and Ikram and Sajid wanted to help them fully. The old man, who was Samira's father, also wanted to help. Finally, Samira and Islam decided to run away from the village, otherwise, the landlord would kill them. It was the last time he was meeting his brothers and mother, while Samira cried, hugging her father. She never wanted to leave this village. She loved the narrow lanes of the village and wanted to always feel its fragrance. But the landlord was so cruel that they were forced to escape. Finally, in the dead of night, Islam and Ikram began to leave the village, trying to hide from the villagers. After walking for a while, they saw an empty house. They decided to spend the night in the empty house and leave for the city the next morning. When they entered the empty house, they were surprised to find an old man sitting there, smelling a strange scent. The old man smiled at them, but they were scared of him. The old man said to them, "You look troubled." Islam replied, "We have been through very tough conditions to reach here. This is Samira, my wife, and we've married. But the village landlord is very cruel, and he will kill us if we return to the village, so we ran away and came here." The old man smiled and said, "You don't need to leave the village. Instead, go to the police station in the other village and file a report against the landlord. They will listen to you there because the police officer at that station is very kind-hearted, and he will definitely help you." Hearing this, both of them felt relieved. But Islam was still very worried. He wondered whether he could actually do such a big thing. Of filing a report against the landlord was no small matter. That night, the old man helped them a lot. He gave them food, and their troubles seemed to vanish suddenly. The next morning, they reached the other village and filed the report against the landlord. They sought help from the police officer and told him that they were married, but the landlord was forcing Samira to marry him. The police officer, being a noble man, immediately took his officers and went to the village. Samira and Islam were with him. They went straight to the landlord's mansion. Seeing the police officer, the landlord panicked, but the officer explained to him that he should never bother these poor people again. The people in this village may be poor, but they are not helpless. Everyone in the village was shocked by Islam's brave step. The police officer arrested the landlord for forcefully attempting to marry Samira and harassing people. The landlord begged for forgiveness and promised never to harass any poor girl again. The officer clearly told him that if he ever did this again, he would never be able to get out of gaol. The landlord finally understood that someone had to take a stand, and Islam's bravery had shown him the way. Now Samira and Islam's life was filled with happiness. Akram and Sajid were also happy seeing their sister-in-law. Samira took care of their elderly mother, managed the house, and loved Islam with all her heart. That's why their life became so beautiful. A few days later, Samira's old father gave all his land to the three brothers because Samira was his only daughter, and he would do anything for her. In this way, the lives of the three brothers changed for the better. Samira's love and good deeds had transformed their lives. So friends, I hope you liked this story. If you did, please like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel for more such videos. See you soon with a new story. Until then, thank you and goodbye.